Hello, and welcome to this session, a faculty development program for designing flexible course experiences with an assist from AI. I'm Dr. Glory Hink, a senior instructional designer with the Stellar team. Stellar stands for Strategic Transformation of Education, Learning, and Research at the University of St. Thomas in Minneapolis-St. Paul, Minnesota. In addition to supporting faculty in the design and delivery of online and HyFlex courses and content, I'm involved with the exploration and implementation of innovative technologies, such as generative AI and virtual reality. I initially became involved with HyFlex teaching about 7 or 8 years ago, and have been an advisory member for both the HyFlex Learning Community and the HyFlex Collaborative Conference Planning Committee since they were initiated. I've also been a co-facilitator and presenter for various HyFlex workshops and conferences. Since the introduction of generative AI, I have been exploring ways to use this technology to support multimodal teaching and learning. In this session, I'm going to describe a faculty development program that we created and delivered at the University of St. Thomas. St. Thomas is the largest private university in Minnesota and one of the largest Catholic universities in the nation, with more than 9,000 undergraduate and graduate students in 8 schools and colleges, and with campuses in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Rome, Italy. The workshop was delivered through Canvas, and I have created a publicly available version of the site that you can visit through the self-enroll link posted here. The workshop has 4 primary goals. First and foremost, help faculty design courses that promote student learning, success, and retention. Next, minimize impact on faculty workload through best practices in course design, as well as an assist from generative AI. We would also like to model course design techniques and tools and use of generative AI, and create a community of learning around flexible teaching and generative AI. The workshop was delivered asynchronously through the Canvas Learning Management System and was facilitated by an instructional designer for 2 weeks, with the site remaining open for access to resources upon completion of this 2-week period. While asynchronous, we used a doodle poll to assess interest for an optional synchronous session and did have several faculty take us up on this offer. The workshop was structured into 4 modules. Number 1, the introduction. 2, planning for flexibility. 3, the AI assist. And 4, the idea assist and next steps. Each module introduced a topic, shared resources, and was assessed through a small application project that was posted to a discussion forum. Throughout this presentation, I will share sample screenshots of the Canvas structure and will do several short tours of the live site. Shown here is the module structure and the tasks required for Module 1. The primary activity was a 2-part discussion delivered through Canvas and Mentimeter, where faculty shared their level of experience and discussed how the topics of flexible teaching and learning and generative AI fit into their plans for course design and facilitation, and what their faculty development needs were related to these topics. We use Mentimeter polling as a cross-modality engagement tool. Faculty could participate in the poll asynchronously and then view the responses of their peers. Next, I will demo how this was structured in the Canvas site. The Module 1 discussion served several purposes. Primary was to give participants a chance to know each other and to engage around the topics of flexible teaching and learning, generative AI, and how this fits into the individual faculty course design and facilitation processes. We also wanted to model how techniques such as polling can be used to collect data and engage participants regardless of how they are participating. And third, we wanted to learn more about faculty interests and needs to help inform our further faculty development and training offerings. So the activity had 2 parts. The first was to complete a Mentimeter survey, And the second was to post their answers to select prompts in the forum and respond to the posts of their peers. After doing so, the live survey results could then be viewed directly in the Canvas site. And if you access the link I provided, you could click through and see what the results are. The first slide was what school or college do they work for? What is their role, faculty, administration, or staff? Their level of experience with generative AI, flexible teaching, online learning, from very inexperienced to very experienced. What they hope to gain from the workshop. What future program they'd like to see from Stellar. And then what participation modality did they prefer for Stellar programming? And finally, what word describes how they felt about AI in teaching and learning? And as you can see here, there are quite a variety of responses, from curious to uncertain to unthreatening, time-consuming, problematic, so quite a variety of responses. And last, what would make this workshop a successful experience for you? In Module 2, we moved into talking about flexible teaching and learning, including flexibility core values and attendance equivalence for activities and assessments. Participants were asked to demonstrate competence in this module by completing an attendance equivalence exercise for their course and to share this in a discussion forum. They were provided with an attendance equivalence planning guide that asks for the session topics and learning objectives with columns for the planned classroom activities and the equivalent online activities. In addition to other resources, an optional interactive RISE lesson called Flexible Teaching and Learning was available for those who wanted to review principles of flexible online and HyFlex course delivery. I will share the preview link to this lesson in the chat and have embedded it in the presentation. One challenge in designing a workshop like this is to keep up with the rapidly changing capabilities of generative AI. Even though it has only been a year since this workshop was developed, it already needs updates. We need to continually review and update any content related to generative AI. My strongest recommendation for future versions of this training is to embed more updated AI practice opportunities. Or, as Christopher Walken might say, we need more cowbell. The first change I might suggest is, rather than using a form like the attendance equivalence form shown earlier, instead integrate generative AI prompts or a GPT such as a HyFlex Content Planning GPT developed by Dr. Beatty. Shown here are a few screen captures from one of my interactions with this GPT. You can jump in and explore on your own through this link or learn more details through Dr. Beatty's other presentations in this conference. I just mentioned one way to use AI in the HyFlex course design process. In Module 3, we began to explore generative AI tools and prompts and asked participants to apply prompts to their own course content and then discuss what they learned with their peers. Next, we will do a short tour of some sample use cases and AI prompts that faculty were provided with. The first example is a rubric use case. As you know, crafting a good rubric can be time-consuming. We recently had a relatively complex situation where we were finding it challenging to figure out how to craft a rubric that would work within the constraints of Canvas, only allowing one rubric to be attached to an assignment. We turned to Claude AI, which quickly helped us develop a workable solution. We asked Claude to develop criteria for a course rubric with 5 performance levels that was for a variety of assignments and should address fully answering all prompts, accuracy of responses, comprehensiveness, full explanation, critical thinking, and analysis. Claude generated this proposed rubric, but it wasn't quite what we were looking for. So we did a follow-up prompt asking Claude to restructure the information so that there was one comprehensive criteria for each level of performance. Claude then quickly returned the rubric restructured to provide comprehensive criteria for each performance level. And here is the final rubric as it was copied and pasted from Claude into Canvas. If you haven't already, I encourage you to explore AI for creating rubrics. It can be a great efficiency tool and can help you potentially craft better rubrics. Another thing you can use AI for is to generate a quiz from a lecture transcript. Quizzes support formative assessment and can help improve students' learning. They can also increase engagement with recorded lectures and hold students accountable to viewing the content. However, creating good quizzes is time-consuming, and the instructors often save the best questions for their exam. In the workshop, I shared presentation slides that describe how to efficiently create quizzes around recorded lecture content or any other media for which you have a captioning transcript through the use of AI, and gave step-by-step instructions for the process of efficiently creating video lecture quizzes. To do this, open your preferred LLM and enter the following prompt. Use the attached transcript of my lecture to generate a 15 to 20 question multiple choice quiz based on this lecture. Provide immediate comprehensive feedback including the correct answer and score, specific location or time code in the lecture, and a 2 to 3 sentence quote to support the answers. Attach the captioning transcript, proofed and edited first from your video, and then generate the quiz. Here's the output you will receive with that process. You will get the question along with distractors and the correct answer. It will define what the correct answer is. It will give you the time code where this content is discussed and this answer can be found. And it will also provide a quote supporting the correct answer. The last case I will share is how to use AI to evaluate a syllabus against a course quality rubric or checklist. For example, you could compare your syllabus to a flexibility best practices checklist or an online course design rubric from the OLC Quality Scorecard Suite. In this simple process, first enter a prompt such as, please evaluate this syllabus against the checklist. Then attach the syllabus, attach the rubric, and generate the response. Be sure to review the results and edit your syllabus as needed to address any deficiency. Also, if you have concerns about large language models using your data for training, be sure to review your security settings for whichever tool you're using and set them so that your information is not used to train the system. One rubric that you could use to evaluate your course by is the Flexibility Best Practices checklist thrown here. This checklist is based on the HyFlex pillars of learner choice, equivalency, reusability, and accessibility. If you attach this rubric with your prompt and syllabus, you will get output that addresses how well you meet these recommended practices per your syllabus. Another cowbell moment. The Online Learning Consortium has trained and is piloting a GPT to complement the newest OLC Course Review Scorecard. The Course Review Assistant can be opened in free or paid versions of ChatGPT only. It does not work in any other LLMs. Start by simply attaching your syllabus and ask the bot to review using the OLC scorecard. The tool will then analyze and provide feedback mapped to scorecard objectives and generate improvement plans. You can continue to interact with the bot for additional feedback. Or you can export your course and attach the files for a more thorough review. No, there are limits to what you can do at one time in the free version of ChatGPT. I was not able to attach my course files for evaluation in the free version as it did not allow me enough tokens to do so. This workshop integrates two diverse and relatively complex topics that cannot be fully addressed in a 2-week workshop. It was designed to provide an overview of these topics and provide a starting point for deeper exploration with the hope that the shared resources, interactions with peers and colleagues, and individual support from an instructional designer, if available, will help faculty integrate these concepts into daily teaching and workflows. In the final module, participants discussed their next steps in a forum, completed a closing survey, and set up an optional consult with an instructional designer. Thank you for attending or for viewing this session. I hope you find it of use. If you are attending live, I will be happy to answer any questions. For those viewing the video, please feel free to reach out by email.